Hello students, welcome to Answer Writing program. Today we are going to discuss 3 questions which is taken from GS3 environment section. As we know, the GS3 environment section is having topics such as conservation, environmental pollution and degradation, environmental impact assessment. Specifically, today's question is being taken from the topic of climate change, institutions and international initiative. So let's have an overview of our questions. The first question is related to the green energy initiatives of India. The second question is related to the desertification in India and role of UNCCD in addressing the concern of desertification. The third question is related to the sustainable use and management of water resources in India. So let's start with the first question. Discuss the Green Energy Initiative of India as a signatory nation to the Paris Agreement. So here the keyword is discuss, okay. So we need to discuss the initiative taken by India with respect to green energy, ensuring the green energy in country so that we can fulfill our targets of Paris Agreement, okay. So we have to understand what Paris Agreement is, what different role and responsibility it has provided to different nations, and how India is ensuring that it is fulfilling its target under the Paris Agreement and reducing the greenhouse gas emission. Okay, before starting this question, let's just try to understand why we are concerned about the climate change or the rise of the temperature across the globe. Okay, what is the background behind it? Let's just try to understand in brief. If we go back to the Industrial Revolution time, we will find out that during that time, the West, the developed nation which we see today, have exploited the economic resources in such a way that they contributed a lot to the greenhouse gas emission. Due to the industrialization, due to economic growth, due to the mobility sector, due to the rampant use of fossil fuel, they contributed to the greenhouse gas emission in such a way the temperature rised during that time also. And today, developing nation also trying to increase the industrial capacity in their country. That is also contributing to the greenhouse gas emission. Also, we see the urbanization, the deforestation into the different countries is also contributing to the greenhouse gas emission. That is why it is required to have an agreement, globally agreed mechanism which can curb the issue related to the greenhouse gas emission, and we can provide a holistic mechanism to manage it. Okay, that is why this Paris Agreement was introduced. Okay, so that was just a background. Now let us discuss the demand of the question and let us attempt our question. So here in these kind of question, what you can do, you can write down the introduction with respect to defining the objective of Paris Climate Agreement and how India is in alignment with PCA. Okay, how India is trying to be in align with the Paris Climate Agreement, you can write down in your introduction. So, India as a signatory nation to the Paris Climate Agreement, which aims to limit the global warming to well below 2 degrees Celsius and preferably limit to 1.5 degrees Celsius. So, this is the goal of the Paris Climate Agreement. It wants to maintain the temperature that we can limit it to 2 degrees Celsius. Compared to the pre-industrial level, for the same, India has made a lot of efforts so that we can do the transition toward the more sustainable and environmentally friendly energy system. Okay, that is why we are trying to create green energy initiative, green infrastructure into the country. So what different initiatives has been taken by the India? Briefly, we will be discussing it in introduction. For example, in Glasgow, Prime Minister Modi introduced the Panchamrit strategy. What Panchamrit strategy is? That India, to commit towards the climate action goal, will reach 500 gigawatt non-fossil fuel energy by 2030. Okay, by 2030, we want to reach the target of 500 gigawatt, and along with it, our 50% of energy should come from renewable energy by 2030. And we want to reduce our carbon emission by 1 billion ton from now to 2030. And also we want to reduce, not only we want to reduce the carbon emission, we want to reduce the intensity of it. So by 45% by 2030 over the 2005 level, and along with it we have a net zero emission target by 2070. So in introduction we have defined the role of Paris Climate Agreement, objective of it, and how India is trying to achieve the same. Okay, now come to the body part. Here in the body, what we are going to write down, important initiative India has taken with respect to the green energy. Okay, so what green energy is, we have briefly discussed it, that green energy is that kind of energy which is coming from the natural sources or renewable kind of sources such as solar energy, wind energy, or energy which is coming from the water sources, which is not harming our environment, or it is coming from the, for example, electric vehicle. Okay, so that is much more clean way of energy, because the carbon emission is minimal in that case. So that kind of green energy initiative we have taken. So what are the different green energy initiative? For example, we are pushing toward the solar energy production. How we want to increase our solar capacity. India is a champion in solar energy and it is further trying to increase it. So we have National Solar Mission to promote solar power production. We also invested into the solar power project where we are increasing our solar capacity with developing large scale solar project to meet the energy demand. The next one is rooftop solar scheme, PM Kusum and International Solar Alliance. Okay, what rooftop solar scheme, if we have seen in 2024 also, we have the finance minister announced related to this scheme, some new initiative under this scheme has been taken. So if we see the solar rooftop scheme, presently around 11 gigawatt capacity we are having. Okay, and approximately 2.7 gigawatt capacity of this rooftop solar plants is coming from the household, okay, domestic household. Apart from it, other is coming from the commercial setup. So now to promote it, to increase the household with respect to the solar energy, what government is trying to do? Government is trying to install the capacity in around 1 crore household across the India. Okay, so what it will do? It will enhance the solar capacity in India. The next one is International Solar Alliance. With the efforts of India and France, we have established International Solar Alliance to fulfill our goal to move toward the non-fossil fuels energy system by 2030. Also, we are trying to push for the wind energy because India is having abundance of the renewable energy sources such as solar energy, wind energy. So, if we see the present capacity, India in terms of the installed capacity, we have 40 gigawatt capacity and fourth largest nation in terms of the wind energy, and we want to promote it further by 2030 by 2030 we want to increase by 100 gigawatt, and we have national offshore wind energy policy also. Okay, now next one is India Renewable Idea Exchange portal by Ministry of Renewable Energy. So what it want to promote? It want to exchange the idea among energy conscious India and the global community. So it provide a mechanism through which the best practices, practices can come to the India. The people interested in the field of renewable energy can communicate with them so that we can adopt the best practices. What other initiative we have taken? We have promoted the green energy corridor. Okay, why we have promoting these corridor? To provide a synergy between the renewable energy sources and the conventional power station in the grid, because presently we have conventional system also and we are promoting the renewable energy system. So there should be a harmonized system among both. Promotion of the bioenergy, for example, we are promoting biogas, biofuel, biomass based boiler technology, etc. And for it in G20 summit also we have promoted this and launched the Global Biofuel Alliance so that we can move toward the green energy target. Okay, also we are pushing for the green hydrogen. How? We have launched National Green Hydrogen Mission, okay, and which want to make India as a global hub for making green hydrogen, because green hydrogen is the future fuel. It is very clean and efficient also. That is why under the National Green Hydrogen Mission, we want to build a capacity by 2030. We want to build a capacity that we can annually produce around 5 MMT greenhouse in India. So we are promoting the production in India and also trying to become a leading exporter in terms of the green hydrogen. Promotion of the electrification of the mobility sector. So we are promoting continuously, we are promoting and incentivizing this industry of the electric vehicles. We are promoting with it FAME 1, FAME 2 scheme and also National Electric Mobility mission plan. And if you see vehicle scrappage policy, we also launched. Why? Because see, if you see the old vehicle, it is very much responsible for the greenhouse gas emission. That is why we are trying to move our economy so that people get incentivized to use the modern vehicles which are less emitting the greenhouse gases, and also to adopt the practices such as electric vehicle. We also see this, we are also part of EV 30 by 30. So see, this is a global initiative and India is also part of it. What is the aim of this EV 30 by 30 is at least to by 2030, if people are buying new vehicle, at least 30% vehicle should be electric vehicle. Okay, so at least 30% electric vehicle should be sold by 2030. So that is the goal of the EV 30 by 30, and India is also trying to promote it. Now, what we can write down in our conclusion, we have discussed what different green energy initiative India has taken. In conclusion, we can write down that these initiatives are very significant for country because India is a country which is growing. Okay, our population is also growing, so our energy demand is going to increase in future. So that to become energy secure by 2047, which is the goal, and to become net neutral country by 2070, we need to fulfill our energy requirement by diverse source of energy such as green energy. So energy security is important and development goals are important. For this, we should move towards a more sustainable way of energy system such as green energy. And how we can do that? By promoting R&D, because this is a new fuel which is continuously evolving. So we need to invest into it. We need to build capacity. We have to promote awareness among the people so that they are having that kind of lifestyle where they are very much comfortable with respect to the consumption of the renewable energy. Also, we have to invest into the green infrastructure creation, and private investment can be a very important player into the field of R&D and capacity building with respect to the green energy initiatives. Now, go through the model answer quickly. So here we have given the definition, or we have just provided what Paris Agreement is and how India is trying to fulfill its targets. And we have also provided some of the important initiative with respect to the green initiative. For example, push for solar energy, wind energy, push for green hydrogen, promotion of electrification of the mobility, and in conclusion, we have provided how it can help out to sustainably do the development of the nation. Now, come to the second question. Now, let us discuss our second question. List down the causes and current status of desertification in India. Also, examine the role played by the United Nations Convention to Combat Desertification, which is UNCCD, in addressing the concern. Okay, so here we have to first of all just try to understand demand of the question. Okay, what are the different demands of the questions are. Here the question is asking about causes and current status with respect to the desertification of India. So we have to write down what are the different causes we are having which is causing desertification in India, and what is the presently what kind of status we are having, what kind of land and how much percentage of the land of India is coming under the degraded and deserted land. Okay, and in the second part of the question we have to discuss about what role UNCCD can play or is playing with respect to addressing the concern of the desertification. So that is the demand of the question which we have discussed. Now come to the introduction part. So in these kind of question, what you can write down here, as they have asked about causes and current status, so we can start writing our answer with respect to providing some data along with the definition. So we can provide the definition of the desertification, and we can provide the data in India or across the globe, how much land of India or world is coming up under the category of deserted land. Okay, so that is the introduction. So let us come and discuss about the introduction. So here we have provided definition of the desertification. Land desertification is the degradation of a land in arid, semi-arid or dry subhumid area. It is caused by the multiple factors such as climate change, human caused soil overexploitation or deforestation. Okay, so let us just try to understand the definition. They are saying if a land is getting converted into the arid, semi-arid or dry subhumid area, it is known as the desertification. Okay, and this arid, semi-arid and dry humid area, why it is a cause of concern? Because it will reduce the productivity of the land it will reduce the economic value of the land and social value of the land for the people. And also there are multiple factors which are causing desertification. For example, the climate change is an important factor. The anthropogenic reasons such as the human diverting land for agricultural facilities or urbanization is also causing desertification, and some of the natural reasons also are there. Okay. According to the United Nations, every year the world loses 24 billion ton of fertile soil, and dryland degradation reduces national domestic product in a developing countries by 8% annually. This is given by the United Nations. So it is reducing the productivity, and which is causing on the GDP of the different developing nation. So that is the introduction we can give in this answer. Now come to the body part. So first part, we will be discussing causes of the desertification in India, because they have specifically asked with respect to India. The first one is natural causes, and then we'll be discussing the anthropogenic causes, which means human induced causes. What are the natural causes? The first one would be climate variability. See, this climate variability is naturally occurred also. If we see the long span of the time, the climate change itself also, and now it is changing due to the anthropogenic reason, which we'll be discussing into the human induced causes. Okay, so climate variability, climate changes in long term climate patterns such as prolonged droughts and shift into the precipitation, which can lead to the degradation and desertification of the land. Geomorphology, because geological process such as natural expansion of sand dunes or erosion can gradually transform land into the arid and semi-arid kind of area. Okay. The next one would be soil characteristics. Different kind of soils are having different characteristics, and that's why the soil which are having less moisture retaining capability will reduce fertility, and they are more prone to erosion. The topography also play a role, because those steep slopes and rugged terrain can enhance water runoff. They cannot hold the water, and that is why the land degradation and desertification is more prone in that area. What could be the anthropogenic causes? Anthropogenic means human induced causes of the desertification in India. Deforestation. For example, the land is diverted for agriculture, for industrial purpose, for industrialization. For the different purposes, we are diverting the forest land, and that is why the soil erosion is happening, loss of fertility is happening, because we are cutting down the forest, and the water resources are also decreasing because of that. The overgrazing, see, the animal rearing is a good thing, but if it is done on that kind of land which is fertile, and if overgrazing is happening, then this can lead to the vegetation removal and soil compaction and erosion also in those areas, which further causing the chances of the desertification. Unsustainable agricultural practices such as excessive tilling, monoculture, inappropriate agriculture can lead to the degradation of the soil quality, and thus it can lead to the desertification. Urbanization and infrastructure development is again an important cause of desertification, because urban expansion and infrastructure projects often lead to soil compaction and reduced vegetation cover. Thus, the area become more prone to desertification in India. We recently have seen in Mumbai, the Array forest is being cut down due to the developmental projects. The mining activities again, because this can disturb the landscape and degrade the soil quality and also pollute the water sources in the area. So, these were the causes. Now, come to the current status of the desertification, as it has been asked into the question. According to the Desertification and Degradation Land Atlas, around 83.69 million hectare of the land in India is coming under the desertification category under 2018-2019. Okay, and if we see the trend, it has been increasing continuously. In the year 2003-05, we have around 81.49. Then in 11-12, 82%, and now 83%. So the trend is also increasing. The degraded land and the desertification in India is continuously increasing. So according to some of the data of, this atlas only, at least 30% land of the India is coming under the degraded land or desertification under this atlas. And also see, if we see the data of the different states, out of total 30%, around 23.79% is being contributed by some of the states. Okay, these states are Rajasthan, Maharashtra, Gujarat, Karnataka, Ladakh, Jharkhand, Odisha, Madhya Pradesh, Telangana. So see, a few states are contributing a lot to the desertification in India, which means the soil quality in these areas or deforestation in these areas is increasing. Also, as we have discussed, we have seen increase in the level of desertification. So continuously, year by year, this is increasing. So this is a cause of concern. And for this only, to tackle this only, India has announced in the summit of UNCCD, India has announced that we will increase our forest restoration target. Earlier we had that 21 million hectare land we are going to restore, but now we have a target of restoration around 26 million hectare by 2030. So India is very serious about fighting against this desertification. We can see that with respect to the commitment of India. Now let us discuss the last part of the body, which is the role played by UNCCD in combating against the desertification. So this UNCCD is an organization, or you can see it is a kind of convention which happened into the 1994. And what is the goal of it? It want to do the sustainable development into the countries and want to restore the land, want to maintain the quality of the land, and want to reduce the desertification across the globe. So this is UNCCD, which is a binding treaty for the different countries which are part of it, and it is trying to provide a holistic and sustainable way of development. So what are the role played by the UNCCD? First one is convention provide a framework. So this framework for the country is very helpful, how they can sustainably develop, how can they sustainably use their land, and they can also fulfill their goal with respect to the development. The capacity building also, for example, if you see in Kenya, UNCCD has supported the development of the land management. So they are providing training and skill development so that the different nations, specifically poor and developing nation, can have that kind of capacity and infrastructure where they can learn also, and they can implement those conventions with best practices in their nation. Land degradation neutrality also, what this is, it is trying to achieve or aim to provide a balance between land degradation and land restoration. So different countries are trying to maintain the quality of their land, and this is providing them. The next one would be drought management. So it is trying to provide a forecast or a method through which the different countries which are more prone to droughts can learn about the different models through which they can predict about it. For example, Jordan has implemented the drought contingency plan to manage resources during drought period. So whenever a drought comes, or whenever there is a chances of drought, they can get into the best practices and they can manage it in a better way. The next one is ecosystem restoration. So UNCC promotes restoration of the land with the activities such as reforestation, afforestation and agroforestry. Just try to understand what this term means. Reforestation means to improve the quality of the existing forest. So suppose if a forest is there and it has been cut down due to the different purposes, the quality of the forest is now not good. So to improve the quality and improve the vegetation, new plants are being seeded in that existing forest. This is known as the reforestation. Now just try to understand what afforestation means. There is a land and it is not having the forest cover. Now new plants is being promoted or cultivated over that land, and it is known as the afforestation. And agroforestry is a mechanism through which the crop cultivation along with the tree, along with the animal rearing we are doing. So they are trying to promote these kind of sustainable practices. For example, we can see Great Green Wall initiative, where we are trying to restore 100 million hectare of the land across the Sahel region. Okay, and also sustainable land management practices they are trying to promote for the restoration of the land. Now come to the conclusion part. What we can write down in conclusion? We can link the UNCCD efforts or India's effort with respect to the restoration of the land with SDG. Okay, because it is linked with the SDG 15. Okay, so despite the limitation, UNCCD operates in a line with the Sustainable Development Goal, particularly Goal 15, which is land on life, and contribute towards the more sustainable and resilient planet, so that the land quality is not getting degraded. It can provide the services to the The land can provide the services such as economic services, social services, etc. And we have seen the different efforts of India also. We can write down here also. So let us quickly go through the model answer. We have written down the causes of the desertification. So what are the different natural causes are here? Along with it, we have written down the current status, and in role play by UNCCT, we have written it is a convention which provide a framework, provide capacity building and sustainable land management practices promoted by it, with a conclusion linking it with the SDG. Now let us discuss our third question. Discuss the challenges faced in achieving sustainable use and management of the water resources in India. Suggest a comprehensive strategy for water conservation and management in India. Okay, first of all, try to understand the demand of the question. They are asking what challenges is India facing with respect to the sustainable use and management of the water resources. We know we have limited resources, water resources in the country, and what are the different challenges which we face with respect to doing the same. What issues India is facing with respect to the proper management of the water resources in India, and what strategy or what policy measures we can say we can take in this direction with respect to the sustainable water management in India. So in the first part, what issues we are having, and in the second part we have to discuss what policy measures we can take with respect to that. Okay, let's come to the introduction part. Here in introduction, you can provide the data and the importance of the issue. Why sustainable management of the water resources is important for the country. Okay, so we have given some of the data. India has around 18% of world population, but only 4% of the freshwater resources. And that is why India is one of the water stressed country in the world. If we see the per capita availability of the water is around 1100 cubic meter, which is very less as compared to the 1700 cubic per person as predicted by or as said by the World Bank. So we are having less availability of the water, and the population is growing continuously, and we also are required to use water for different purposes also. For example, agriculture purpose, industrial purposes, for domestic consumption, for sanitation purpose. So that is why we have to manage it in a much more sustainable way. Okay, because we understood the importance of the water sources, that our vision is sustainable development and maintenance the quality and efficient use of the water resources, because we know it is very important for the poverty reduction, environmental sustenance and sustainable economic development. So we understood the need of the sustainable management of the water resources. Now come to the body part. So first of all, we are going to discuss about the challenges faced. For example, the first one is population growth and urbanization, rapid urbanization. So because of these two purposes, rapid growth of the population and urbanization, the water demand for drinking, sanitation, agriculture and industrial purposes are increasing. If we see the data according to WWF report, it says we come under a grave water risk, and it is going to be increased as 30 Indian cities are going to face it by 2050. So still we are having a water stress, and by 2050 it is going to increase. The next one is groundwater depletion, because we are having inefficient irrigation technique which is over exploiting the water resources. For example, 89% of groundwater extracted is useful for irrigation purpose. So which is declining the water table in India. Ineffective waste management techniques and pollution related to it, due to the influx of industrial discharge, untreated sewage and agriculture runoff which is having the fertilizer, the pesticide in it, polluting the sources, and India's water treatment capacity is less than 30%. We are not able to manage our grey water, which is again increasing the problem in India. The next are governance and institutional challenges. So we are not having proper governance related to the issue. For example, if we see, we are lacking in the financial aspect. We do not have proper fund for the infra creation of the grey water treatment plants, and also we are not able to resolve our dispute. If we see, different states of India are coming into the tension because of the water resources. For example, Kaveri water dispute and other water dispute related to the different states. So we have institutional challenges also, and along with it we are facing climate related issue, because see, if we see climate related issue, the sea level rise is happening, and the sea level rise is doing what? It is contaminating the fresh water resources. Okay, and so the available water resources are also getting polluted, thus it is increasing the problem of the fresh drinking water in India. In the next part of the body, we are going to write down what comprehensive strategy we can follow to fight against this issue. The first one is encouraging groundwater management and efficient water practices in agriculture, industries and for domestic consumption. For example, per drop, more crop and watershed management, rainwater harvesting. Policy and governance support, we can address water allocation issue, pollution control and sustainable water management practices. For example, if we see Atal Bhujal Yojana to sustainably promote the groundwater sources, and Amrit 2.2 in the cities can be a good example related to the policy. Research and technological interventions also required so that we can indulge into the best practices. For example, soil moisture sensor and ISRO's Bharat Krishi satellite program are example which are providing a solution, technological solution to the problem of the limited water resources. The other one could be adaptation to the climate change. We know the climate change is happening, so how we can move toward the adaptation? For example, we can promote the water efficient crop variety. For example, Government of India is promoting the millet because it requires less water. Sahi Fasal campaigning under the National Water Mission, what it is doing, we have different areas of the country which are water stressed areas. So there, this particular initiative, Sahi Fasal campaign, is trying to promote those kind of crop which are less water intensive. Okay, and also we can indulge into the smart agriculture practices such as the precision farming. The less requirement water will be there under that. The next one would be enhancing public awareness. Okay, for example, Life Mission, where we are trying to create the awareness among the people so that they are consuming the resources in a much more right way. Also, we can write down the case study related to Israel, how best practices in Israel is promoting the water conservation, and they are doing the agriculture with respect to the precision farming, and per drop more crop is a concept of Israel only, and we have implemented it. So we can learn much more greater way from Israel. Now come to the conclusion part. What you can write down in conclusion? Link it with sustainable development goal or sustainability. In the face of growing water scarcity and increasing demand, sustainable water practices provides a solution, and we can learn from the successful countries such as Israel. So it can pave a way so that where water resources are conserved and efficiently utilized for the future generation to come. So we know the development is going to happen, the water requirement will be there, the population is growing, but if we are able to treat our grey water, if we are able to utilize our water resources with respect to irrigation facilities or with respect to agriculture facilities in much more appropriate way, we can definitely do both the sustainable growth and the economic and social prosperity of the people of the nation. Let's quickly go through the model answer. So in introduction, we have provided the data related to it. In the body part, we have given how this is a challenge for India because population of India is growing. Along with it, groundwater depletion is happening, the climate change is happening. Comprehensive strategy for water conservation and management such as encouraging groundwater management, efficient technique, and governance, proper governance, research and technological interventions such as Bharat Krishi satellite program, and enhancing public awareness can really play a important role, and we can provide the case study of Israel, and in the conclusion a holistic approach of sustainable development we can write down in our introduction. So that was the discussion for today. Thank you very much. Have a great day.